Jeffrey Deskovic is not a typical law student. He is about 20 years older than most of his classmates, and he spent most of youth in prison. When he was 17, he was wrongfully convicted of murder and rape. For the next 16 years, he fought for his release. He was exonerated in 2006.
I missed the births, deaths, weddings, holidays, graduating high school prom, being finished with my education at a more traditional age, and being on my way in a career. I mean, those things, were lost. I mean, when do you get those things back? You don't.
According to the National Registry of Exonerations, 1,934 wrongfully convicted people have been released for the past 25 years. That number is growing. But once released, these men and women continue to pay. Rebuilding their lives is not easy.
When you're released through exoneration, you are released with nothing.
Unlike convicted inmates, the wrongfully convicted don't get any support like housing assistance, health service, or job training.
Nobody wanted to hire me because I had a really long gap. I had never had a job. And, I would have to explain where I was for the last 16 years.
He wanted to work at Dunkin' Donuts, but they rejected his application because of the social stigma of being wrongfully convicted.
People turned me down for employment because they were concerned, would there be a backlash to having me around? How would the other employees react? Would other people decide not to patronize the store? Might there even be some people who would protest my presence?
Getting compensated for the injustice is a long process. Deskovic filed a federal civil rights lawsuit and sued New York State for wrongful conviction shortly after his release. But it took 5 years for him to get what he was due.
So I was not just injured through being wrongfully convicted and imprisoned, but then, the 5 years that I spent in the world where, I barely got by. I feel like I suffered a second injury. There was really no need for that.
In 2011, Deskovic was awarded millions of dollars for the lawsuits. He used $1.5 million from that money to establish the Jeffrey Deskovic Foundation for Justice to support other exonerees after their release. Pythagoras Gutierrez has been working for the foundation for 5 years as a paralegal. She says, what hurts the most is the mental trauma. She saw an exoneree breaking down in front of her once.
He's having a lot of issues. He doesn't want to cope. He wants to go back to prison, he says. He says his life was better in prison than out here. He has to find a job. He gets on the train and he says it's too loud, there's too many people. He doesn't know where to go when he gets out.
Deskovic has fought hard to rebuild his life. He lives with Nancy Lopez and her son in a 2-family house in the Bronx. They have known each other for 8 years. Lopez is more like his mother than a friend.
He's just come out from jail, even he been out almost for 10 years. I think he's still living in the past.
Hey Nancy, I still miss Bill.
Of course. When he's seen people going to jail for something they never did, and he heard the news and everything, that would get him very depressed. And he, as a matter of fact, he would start crying like a little baby. Because I think everything they have to do with people that are innocent, it reflects him what happened to him and what he was fighting.
I don't feel I'll ever really get rid of the nightmare because, I'm always going to know what happened to me. I'm always going to remember there's always going to be that pain that I feel. When I see kids 16 to 18, just see them on the sidewalk or the street, and I see them run and play and carefree life and everything, and I feel something like I miss that I didn't have that.
For Pavement Pieces, I'm Julie Liao.